My wife said she was going to a girls' trip, then I saw her on a dinner date with a man. So I sat at the table next to them. When she turned and saw me, she choked on her drink. I smiled and said, "Having a good time, honey?" The whole restaurant stared. My heart nearly stopped when I saw her. My wife. Sitting across from another man. Laughing. Leaning in close. Her fingers lightly touching his arm in a way that was way too familiar. The same way she used to touch me. I stood frozen just inside the entrance of the restaurant, my brain refusing to process what my eyes were seeing. Hours ago, she had kissed me goodbye at the airport, suitcase in hand, looking back at me with that sweet smile I had fallen in love with. "Girls' trip to Miami," she had said. "I'll call you when we land." I had watched her walk away. Believed her. But she wasn't in Miami. She was right here in Chicago. And she sure as hell wasn't with her friends. I took a step forward, my pulse pounding in my ears. My first instinct was to storm over there, make a scene, demand answers, but something inside me stopped me. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me lose control. Not yet. So I walked right past their table and sat down at the one next to them. Close enough to hear every word. Close enough to watch every little detail. She had no idea I was there yet, too caught up in whatever fantasy she had built with this guy. The man was tall, clean-shaven, wearing an expensive suit. He looked comfortable, confident. Completely unaware that he was sitting across from another man's wife. She picked up her wine glass, took a sip, and then, she turned. Her eyes landed on me, and she froze. The color drained from her face so fast that for a second, I thought she might pass out. Her hand trembled. Her breath caught in her throat. Then she choked. She coughed violently, wine dribbling from the corners of her mouth. She grabbed a napkin, dabbing at her lips, her wide, panicked eyes locked onto mine. I smiled, leaned forward, and in the calmest voice possible, I said, "Having a good time, honey?" The entire restaurant went silent. The murmured conversations, the clinking of glasses, the quiet background music, it all just stopped. The people at the surrounding tables turned to look. Even the waiter carrying a tray of drinks hesitated mid-step. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Just a strangled sound, like she was trying to breathe but had forgotten how. The man across from her frowned, confused. He looked at her, then at me, then back at her. Who is this?" "Oh, don't mind me," I said, still smiling. "I'm just her husband." He blinked. His whole body stiffened. "You're married?" His voice was slow, cautious, like he was still trying to make sense of the situation. I watched as the realization dawned on him, the way his face shifted from confusion to something that looked a lot like horror. She was still frozen, napkin clenched in her shaking hand. I tilted my head, watching her, waiting for an explanation. Some kind of pathetic excuse. Nothing. So I pulled out my phone. Tapped the screen. Turned it toward her so she could see. A map. A location dot. The AirTag I had slipped into her suitcase, showing her exact location. "You see," I said, my voice light, almost conversational, "I had a feeling something was off. So I put a tracker in your luggage." Her mouth fell open. The man, let's call him Mark, leaned away from her slightly, like he was just now realizing he was sitting next to a ticking time bomb. "You tracked me?" she hissed, voice low but sharp. "Well," I shrugged, "if you had actually gone to Miami like you said, it wouldn't have mattered, would it?" The way her face twisted, the way her hands clenched the napkin so tight it nearly tore, I could tell she wanted to scream. Maybe even throw her drink at me. But she didn't get the chance. Because at that exact moment, the restaurant doors swung open, and in walked her best friends. The ones she was supposed to be in Miami with. For a second, no one moved. No one spoke. One of them, Megan, stopped dead in her tracks, her eyes going wide as she took in the scene in front of her. "Oh my God," she whispered. Lisa, another one of her so-called Miami friends, clapped a hand over her mouth, her head shaking in disbelief. No way. My wife, now trapped in the worst moment of her life, looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. Mark pushed his chair back slightly, his body tense. Wait, he turned to my wife. "You told me you were single." Silence. I looked at her too. "Yeah," I said, my voice cold. "How long has this been going on?" "Nothing." I asked again, louder this time. "How long?" She still didn't answer. But Mark did. 6 months, he muttered. A collective gasp rippled through the restaurant. A woman at a nearby table even whispered, "Jesus Christ." I clenched my jaw, turning back to my wife. 6 months. My voice was quiet, but there was something deadly in it. You let me wake up next to you every morning. You let me kiss you. Cook dinner for you. You let me believe. My throat tightened. She finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I never meant for it to. I laughed. Actually laughed. Because what else was I supposed to do? You never meant for what? To get caught? She flinched. Mark scoffed, shaking his head. You lied to me. He turned to me, looking genuinely pissed. Man, I swear to God, I had no idea. I believed him. The way he looked at her, the disgust in his eyes, yeah, she had lied to him too. Megan folded her arms, looking at my wife like she was a complete stranger. You told us you were going to visit your mom this weekend, she said. What the hell is this? My wife opened her mouth. Closed it. Looked around like she was trying to find an escape. Lisa shook her head. You lied to everyone. The entire restaurant was watching. No one even tried to pretend they weren't. Mark stood up abruptly. I'm out, he said. Good luck with this mess. He threw some cash on the table and walked out. Megan and Lisa exchanged a look before turning back to my wife. We're done, Megan said simply. Don't call us. Then they left too. My wife sat there, completely still. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes darted to me, pleading. Jake, please, I held up a hand. No, she swallowed hard, her eyes shining with panic. Can we just talk? I reached into my pocket, pulled off my wedding ring, and placed it on the table. The metal made a soft clink against the wood. You can keep that, I said, standing up. I'm done. And then, without another word, I turned and walked out. As I stepped out of the restaurant, the cold Chicago air hit me like a slap. I sucked in a deep breath, trying to steady myself, trying to process what had just happened. My hands were shaking, my pulse was pounding, and yet, I felt numb. Like my body hadn't caught up with my brain yet. My wife, ex-wife, was a liar. A cheater. And for 6 months, she had been living a double life right under my nose. I should have left right then and there. Gone home. Blocked her number. Started the next chapter of my life. But something in my gut told me it wasn't over. And I was right. Before I could even reach my car, I heard the restaurant doors swing open behind me. Then, her voice. Jake. Wait. I kept walking. She hurried after me, her heels clicking against the pavement. Jake, please. I stopped. Slowly turned around. She looked like a mess, eyes red, makeup smudged, breathing uneven. For a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. She wrapped her arms around herself like she was cold. Or maybe just falling apart. Can we talk for a second? I stared at her, my jaw tight. Talk? Now you want to talk? I let out a bitter laugh. You had 6 months to talk, but you didn't. You just kept lying. Every single day. Her eyes darted around, like she was making sure no one was listening. I messed up, she whispered, voice shaking. I know I did. But it wasn't, she swallowed hard. It wasn't what you think. I shook my head, disgusted. Don't even try to spin this. Her fingers curled into fists at her sides. Just listen, okay? Mark, he didn't know about you because I never told him my real name. I blinked. What? She looked up at me, her lips trembling. I told him my name was Sophia. The ground felt unsteady beneath me. You used a fake name? She nodded quickly, her breathing still shallow. Yes. I never meant for it to get serious, but it did. And then it got complicated, and I didn't know how to end it. And her voice cracked. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. So you weren't just cheating. You were leading a double life. Tears welled in her eyes. I never stopped loving you, Jake. I let out a sharp breath, running a hand over my face. Do you even hear yourself? You were sleeping with another man while coming home to me. That's not love. She flinched like I had slapped her. But I wasn't done. Who the hell are you? I asked, my voice low. Because the woman I married wouldn't be capable of this. She wiped at her face, shaking her head. I don't know. I don't know anymore. For a second, we just stood there. The sounds of the city around us, cars passing, people talking, the faint hum of a street performer playing guitar, felt distant. Then, out of nowhere, she grabbed my arm. Please, Jake, she whispered, her nails digging into my jacket. Come home. Let's talk. Just us. I stared at her hand, at the wedding ring she was still wearing. No, she inhaled sharply. Jake, please, let go of me. Her grip loosened, but she didn't step back. I'll fix this. I swear, I will. Just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. I'll cut him off. I'll delete my social media. I shook my head. You don't get it. My voice was quiet. Tired. It's already broken. She let out a choked sob. I don't want to lose you. I exhaled slowly. You already did. And then I turned and walked away. I thought that was it. That she would finally let me go. But I underestimated her. Because the very next morning, I woke up to find her sitting on my front porch, knees pulled to her chest, eyes red and puffy like she had been crying all night. And that was just the beginning. I stood there on my front porch, staring down at her like she was a ghost. It was barely 6 in the morning, the sun just starting to rise over the Chicago skyline, and there she was, sitting on the cold concrete steps, arms wrapped around her knees like a lost child. She looked up at me with bloodshot eyes. I didn't know where else to go. I clenched my jaw, gripping the doorknob so hard my knuckles turned white. You have an apartment. You have him. She shook her head fast, sniffling. I don't. I swear, Jake, I ended it with him last night. I told him everything was a mistake. I let out a dry laugh. And you think that changes anything? She didn't answer. Just sat there, shivering slightly in the cold morning air. I should have slammed the door in her face. I wanted to. But something in the way she looked, utterly wrecked, like she had lost everything, made me hesitate. I sighed. Get up. She blinked at me, startled. What? I jerked my head toward the sidewalk. Get up. Go home. I'm not doing this with you. Her lip trembled. Jake, please. Just hear me out. I shook my head. I already did. At the restaurant. There's nothing left to say. She slowly got to her feet, her movements stiff. She looked down at her hands, twisting her wedding ring around her finger. I don't even know why I did it. I scoffed. That's the worst part, isn't it? You don't even have a reason. Her gaze snapped up to mine. I was lost, Jake. I gave her a long, hard look. No. You weren't lost. You were selfish. She sucked in a shaky breath, wiping at her face. Do you still love me? I opened my mouth. Closed it. Because I didn't know. I hated her. But part of me, some stupid, broken part, still felt something. And she knew it. That was the thing about being married for so long. She knew exactly how to dig into the cracks. She stepped closer. If there's even one part of you that still loves me, just let me explain. One conversation. That's all I'm asking. I didn't answer. Just turned around and stepped inside. Then I shut the door. And locked it. I thought that was the end of it. But I was wrong. Because 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick up. When I did, a deep voice on the other end said, "Is this Jake?" My stomach tightened. Who's asking? The man hesitated, then sighed. Look, I don't know how else to say this, but I think your wife, ex-wife, whatever, might be in danger. My blood ran cold. What? The man exhaled. My name's Chris. I know about you. About what happened. I was with her before Mark. My grip tightened around the phone. What the hell are you talking about? Chris hesitated again. Then he lowered his voice. I was with her for a year. She told me she was single, just like she told Mark. But when I found out she was married, I left. He took a deep breath. But here's the thing, Jake, she didn't just cheat on you with Mark. A sharp ringing filled my ears. What? She's been doing this for years. My whole body went rigid. Chris continued, his voice low and serious. And now, I think someone's after her. I sat down hard on the couch, my mind spinning. What the hell do you mean, after her? Chris sighed. Last night, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was her. She was freaking out, saying she was in trouble. That she messed with the wrong person. She asked if she could come to my place. I told her no. Haven't heard from her since. I felt a sick weight settle in my gut. This wasn't just some affair. This wasn't just betrayal. She had been lying for years. Living a double life. And now, she had screwed over the wrong person. I exhaled slowly. Do you have any idea who she's running from? Chris hesitated. All I know is, the last guy she was with before Mark, he wasn't like me. Or you. Or Mark. He had money. Power. And from what she told me back then, he wasn't the kind of guy you just walk away from. My hands went cold. Then, before I could process what I had just heard, there was a loud knock on my front door. Not a normal knock. A pounding. Chris must have heard it through the phone. Jake? What was that? I slowly stood up, my heart hammering. I walked to the door. Peered through the peephole. And felt my stomach drop. Because standing on my porch, her hair wild, her face pale, her breath coming in frantic gasps, was my wife. And behind her, parked across the street, was a black SUV with tinted windows. My breath caught in my throat as I stared through the peephole. My wife, ex-wife, stood on my porch, eyes wild, hair a mess, her entire body trembling. She looked nothing like the woman who had kissed me goodbye at the airport just a few days ago. She pounded on the door again, her voice urgent. Jake! Open up, please. Behind her, across the street, the black SUV idled. Its tinted windows made it impossible to see who was inside, but I could feel someone watching. The hairs on my arm stood up. Chris was still on the phone. Jake? What's going on? I hesitated for half a second, then unlocked the door and yanked it open. Get inside. She stumbled in, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The second she was over the threshold, I slammed the door shut and locked it. She spun around to face me, her eyes glassy with panic. Jake, who's in the SUV? I cut her off, my voice hard. She swallowed, but didn't answer. Chris spoke in my ear, still on the phone. You should get out of there, man. If it's the guy I think it is, this isn't gonna end well. I ignored him for now, locking eyes with my wife. I swear to God, if you don't start talking, a loud thud rattled the front door. I tensed. So did she. Then came a voice, deep and calm, but laced with something dangerous. Open up, sweetheart. We need to have a chat. I turned to my wife, my stomach twisting into knots. Who is that? Tears welled in her eyes. Jake, I'm so sorry. I grabbed her arms, forcing her to look at me. For what? What the hell did you do? She let out a shuddering breath. I took money from him. I stared at her, my brain short-circuiting. What? Her hands shook as she wiped at her face. I didn't mean to at first. I was just dating him, okay? Like I did with Mark. But then I found out he was married. And worse than me. Her voice cracked. So I stole from him. I thought, she let out a shaky laugh, completely devoid of humor. I thought I was getting revenge. I didn't think he'd find me. I clenched my jaw so hard it ached. How much? She hesitated. How much? Her voice was barely a whisper. 70 grand. Everything went still. Then another pound on the door, harder this time. I don't have all night, the man outside called. And neither do you. I exhaled sharply, rubbing a hand over my face. Jesus Christ, how stupid can you be? Her expression crumbled. I was desperate, Jake. I needed out. I shook my head, cutting her off. No. You needed more lies. More games. I gestured toward the door. And now you dragged me into your mess. Her lips trembled, but she didn't deny it. Another knock, quieter this time, but somehow worse. Like a warning. Chris's voice came through my phone, urgent. You need to get the hell out of there. But I was done running. I turned back to my wife. Here's what's gonna happen. You're going to tell me the truth. Right now. Every dirty little detail. Then you're going to open that door and face whatever the hell you started. She let out a choked sob. Jake, please, I can't, you can. My voice was like steel. Because I'm done protecting you. Her body sagged. The weight of everything she had done was finally hitting her. A long silence stretched between us. Then, finally, she nodded. She took a deep breath, wiped at her face, and turned toward the door. I stepped back, arms crossed, watching as she reached for the handle. Her fingers trembled against the knob. Then, with one last glance at me, one last silent plea for help, she opened the door. The man outside stepped forward, a slow smirk curling his lips. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a sleek black coat over an expensive suit. His dark eyes flicked from her to me, assessing. Well, he said, voice smooth. Looks like we have some unfinished business. My wife swallowed hard. Victor. The name settled in my gut like a block of ice. His gaze slid back to me. You must be the husband. I didn't answer. Just held his stare, refusing to back down. He chuckled, shaking his head. Didn't take you for the type to clean up her messes. I'm not. My voice was cold. She's all yours. My wife gasped, her eyes snapping to mine. Jake, I cut her off with a sharp look. You lied to me. You betrayed me. You stole $70,000 from a criminal. And you expect me to fix it? I let out a bitter laugh. Not this time. Victor's smirk widened. Smart man. He turned back to my wife. Get in the car. Her hands clenched into fists. Victor, please, I don't have the money yet, but I can get it. I don't care about the money, he interrupted smoothly. I care about loyalty. Her face drained of color. Victor sighed, shaking his head. You really thought you could play me, didn't you? Lie to me? Steal from me? He took a slow step forward. I should kill you right now. A sharp, electric tension filled the air. I should have looked away. Should have let her suffer the consequences of her own damn choices. But something in me, some deeply buried instinct, refused to stand by. So before I could stop myself, I stepped between them. Victor arched a brow. Brave. I didn't blink. She's not worth your time. He tilted his head, considering me. You really willing to risk your life for her? I exhaled slowly. No, then, before anyone could react, I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and turned the screen toward him. A live-streamed video. The street. The SUV. His face. His smirk vanished. I called the cops the second she knocked on my door, I said. They're watching right now. Victor's jaw tightened. I shrugged. So you have two choices. You can leave, pretend this never happened, and let her deal with her own problems. Or you can make a move, and guarantee you're a wanted man by morning. His eyes burned into mine. Then, after a long, heavy pause, he let out a quiet chuckle. Clever, he muttered. Then he stepped back, straightened his jacket, and flicked his wrist toward my wife. You're lucky, sweetheart. She let out a shuddering breath. Victor turned, walked down the steps, and slid into the SUV. A second later, the car pulled away, disappearing into the night. The second he was gone, my wife collapsed onto the porch steps, sobbing. I stared down at her. The woman I had loved. The woman I had trusted. I felt nothing. Just a deep, hollow emptiness. You should go, I said quietly. She looked up at me, tears streaking her face. Jake, no, I stepped back, voice steady. This is where it ends. Her breath hitched. I turned, walked inside, and shut the door. For good.